The police might be about to arrest her.
Why does the UK government think these seniors are terrorists?
Have you been arrested before?
No, never.
Never?
No, I don't do things like this.
Their stories are at the heart of a debate roiling the UK. How far is too far to oppose the war in Gaza? Millions of people around the world have turned out on the streets, including in London. But almost 2 years on from Hamas's October 7th attack on Israel, over 60,000 Palestinians in Gaza have been killed. Mass starvation continues to spread. For some, protesting is just not enough. Palestine Action is a UK-based group of hundreds of individuals. They accuse the UK arms industry of complicity in supporting Israel's government. They've targeted Israeli weapons factories, destroyed British military equipment, and even vandalized US President Donald Trump's golf course. This June action on a British airbase was seen as a step too far by the UK government, who designated them a terrorist organisation, meaning anyone taking part in these actions could face terrorism charges. Audrey Corno, who just turned 23, studied dance and drama. She's been a member of the group. She's vandalised the UK Defence Headquarters. And just a few months ago, she occupied a factory she claimed was supplying military equipment to Israel. She spent 2 months in jail.
So now you're out on bail, you have an ankle tag that you have to wear, you've got a curfew, you're waiting for your court hearing.
Yeah.
What are the maximum potential consequences to this?
The maximum term of 10 years imprisonment.
Would these actions have been worth it?
Yeah, of course.
What would it have been worth it for?
It's everyone's responsibility to do everything in our power to stop a genocide from happening.
I mean, there will obviously be people watching this who will think, you don't know enough about, you haven't been to Israel or to Gaza, have you? You don't know enough about the situation, you are just jumping on a bandwagon. What would you say to them?
Well, this isn't a bandwagon. The more I learned about how deeply complicit Britain is in the supply of arms to Israel and in fueling this genocide, the more I realized that the comfort that I enjoy living in London is soaked in Palestinian blood.
You've essentially spray painted a building, the MOD. You have stood on top of a rooftop. I don't mean to be diminishing your actions, but I mean, has any of what you and what Palestine Action have done really made much difference?
The two individual actions that I've done are two very small parts of a massive movement. Direct action against Elbit Systems has resulted in 2 factories being shut down.
Elbit Systems UK, a subsidiary of the Israeli arms manufacturer, was the main target for Palestine Action. They did not answer CNN's questions in relation to Palestine Action. Now the UK government has designated Palestine Action a terrorist group. Even holding a sign in support is illegal, sparking fears that free speech itself is being stifled.
There is a action against genocide.
For even supporting this group, you could be charged with terrorism yourself. You could spend up to 14 years in prison.
Yeah.
Are you prepared for that?
No, not at all. But there's just no choice. I don't feel like we have a choice.
Anyone showing any support for this group, even holding up a sign, is currently being arrested, which means hundreds of people here are being arrested.
Just follow me, madam. Thank you. Clearly a terrorist in your hands there, yeah?
Things are getting very rowdy.
Come here,
People who have been committing offences will be arrested.
Everyone will be arrested.
Everyone that is committing offences will be arrested.
So essentially everyone holding a sign will be arrested.
If that sign falls within the remit of Newlands.
Saying that they support Palestine Action.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people to arrest. That must be a real headache.
It is a lot of people, yeah.
You have to fight against things which are wrong. And this is wrong. Not being allowed to speak about it is wrong. Palestine Action weren't a terrorist group. They haven't harmed anybody. What Israel doing is terrorism.
The essential case against Palestine Action.
The politician John Woodcock, Lord Wolney, was the UK government's independent advisor on political violence and disruption. The 300-page report he wrote last year was a major factor in banning Palestine Action under anti-terrorism laws.
I take real exception to that idea of this being a peaceful protest. The definition of terrorism absolutely encompasses the kind of economic damage for a political cause which Palestine Action have systematically carried out.
You're putting them in the same category as ISIS and Al-Qaeda and Hamas.
So I think that there is a gap in the law, which I identified in my report, that there is a category of criminal behaviour that is politically motivated, which can fall under the definition of terrorism, that at the moment there is not the sufficient tools to be able to stop and deter.
I mean, when you see these, you know, I spoke to a 70-something-year-old grandma at these protests, you know, literally holding up a sign and getting arrested. Do you think they're a terrorist?
If they meet and they are doing this to overwhelm the criminal justice system very deliberately.
But they're also exposing what they see as the ridiculousness of the prescription. Half of the people that I saw at the protests were over 60. I mean, they're not what people think of when they think of terrorists.
No, sure, but
so are they terrorists?
Well, the criminal justice system will have to deal with them, and
But you're saying they are terrorists.
No, I'm saying that if you.
But you're not answering the question. Are they? Do you see them as terrorists?
if you.
Well, you're the one pushing this prescription, so surely you think that they are terrorists.
If you break the law, then you face having a criminal record.
A terrorist.
You face having a criminal record as a terrorist, and they know that, and they know that, and that's why they are doing it.
Are you the right person to be advising, to have been advising the UK government on this? I mean, you were the head of Labour Friends of Israel. Yeah. You have taken several all-expenses trips paid to Israel. And so you can understand, why people would question your motivations.
I could understand why they would want to, because they don't want to account for their own actions. But people will make up their own minds on me. My interests and declarations are out in the open. That's why you're able to talk about it. We ought to be able to say it's not okay to break the law and to terrorise working people.
In the meantime, other activists continue to take direct action.
We're still locked on
against arms manufacturers they accuse of complicity in the bombing of Gaza. And protesters holding up signs continue to risk arrest to support Palestine Action.